Naruto's series may seem straightforward, but its story is chopped up into separate arcs. Each arc tells its story, but some are definitely better than others. So I plan to rank the top 10 arcs from worst to best. And yes, before you ask, this is totally subjective, so even if your favorite arcs are listed in reverse order to mine, it doesn't invalidate anyone's opinion. And in fact, I'd love for you to tell me why I'm wrong down in the comments below. Maybe it'll give me a new perspective on the arcs and help me enjoy them more. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check that you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Number 10, Kazekage Rescue Mission. The Kazekage Rescue Mission was the first arc of Naruto's second part, Shippuden. This dealt with the sudden kidnapping of Gaara and the Akatsuki's pilfering of the One-Tail Shukaku. While definitely not the best arc, it's also definitely not the worst, and it really let us focus on some of the cooler aspects of Suna, such as their uncanny ability to use puppets for battle. And while that may seem odd to some, I am insanely interested in the concept of shinobi puppets. So when one of the main villains of the arc was Sasori, you can understand that I'd be excited. But imagine my surprise when I realized that Sasori was himself a puppet. This cemented Sasori as one of my all-time favorite Akatsuki members. We did get faked out with the death of Gaara, but getting to see more of Gaara's past was great as well, and getting to understand his motivations, what caused him to be so bat-crap crazy during the Chunin exams, and the relationship he himself had with his tailed beast in comparison to Naruto drew a lot of awesome parallels, and continued to show us what Naruto could have been if he had chosen darkness as so many others had. Number 9, the Fourth Shinobi World War. To be fair, this arc here was comprised of multiple sub-arcs, those arcs being 4th Shinobi World War Countdown, 4th Shinobi World War Confrontation, 4th Shinobi World War Climax, Birth of the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, and Kaguya Otsutsuki Strikes. It might be surprising to some that I would place such an arc so low on the list, considering all the action that transpired took place over 212 episodes, which is nearly 1/3 of the entire Naruto series overall. This arc wasn't completely bad though, as we got to witness some of the coolest shinobi in history, such as Madara Uchiha, Itachi, many of the Akatsuki, Zabuza and Haku, and the previous 4 Hokage. That was a big plus. However, the introduction of the Otsutsuki and the concept that Naruto and Sasuke were the reincarnations of the Sons of the Sage of Six Paths screamed Deus Ex Machina, and literally pulled the Rinnegan and a new chakra mode for Naruto clean out of their rears. And then the fact that we never got to actually witness the end of the battle with Madara, as the moment it's about to start up again, Kaguya is revealed and she takes over as the main villain of the series. Not that the puppeteer twist had yet to lose its savor, the twist generally works well if you have some hint to the puppeteer at some point in the story. From the beginning we had realized that Madara Uchiha was likely somehow behind this, and that was cool. By the time he actually shows up, it works, but we had not once seen Kaguya Otsutsuki, nor had any real reference to her. In fact, her appearance had to retcon much of the story to this point, and completely nullified the point that Naruto was not destined to be a great shinobi because of how he was born. Neji once said that. He said that the way people were born, to who and how they were born determined their fate, and Naruto said that this wasn't true. But we also come to realize later on that not only is he the son of a previous Hokage, but is also the reincarnation of a Hokage, and the reincarnation of the son of basically a deity. So in the end, Naruto proved Neji right instead of wrong, as much of the series portrayed him as doing. And worse still, even though he was right, Neji still died. I mean, did he forget that he had palm rotation? Neji died and he shouldn't have, but you know who should have died but didn't? Might Guy. Might Guy's usage of the 8 gates and his need to sacrifice himself was beautiful, and it would have been tragic to see that in the end nothing came from it, but he would have served as a symbol of hope and it would have completed his character arc. After all, he doesn't do anything in Boruto, so it would have been better if he had died, as that would have honored the character. I could go on for hours as to why this arc went on too long and fell flat against our expectations, but I think we've got a bit of a tight schedule here, and you probably don't want to hear too much about that, so let's move on. Number 8, the 5 Kage Summit. Alright, I admit. A good bit of this was literally just politics between nations, but hey, you still love the Star Wars prequels, right? While I admit that the whole dark room round table and nothing but different camera angles didn't do much for the arc, it was still pretty good, especially when Toby raided the party to declare World War IV. After that, things really picked up. We had Sasuke speedrunning the land of Iron Samurai by literally just adopting their fighting style on the spot and killing them with their own techniques. We got to see a liberal usage of his Mangekyo Sharingan, which was awesome considering that he literally just got it, and then we even got that scene where he looks down on the Kage from the ceiling while Kokuten plays. I must admit I rewinded the episode and replayed it probably 4 times because that scene and theme are just too badass. But what was really cool was his assassination of Danzo Shimura. Danzo's usage of the Izanagi was a beautiful thing and showed the true potential of the Sharingan beyond just the Mangekyo variant. We got to see Sasuke constantly adapt his Susanoo, and in the end, when Sasuke got his revenge, it felt sweet, because let's be honest, Danzo was a real bastard. Number 7, the Land of Waves mission. The first arc in Naruto. Despite being the first, it holds up through the test of time and is still just as fun as it was then. This is likely where most fans picked up, unless you're like me, got caught in the 5 Kage Summit and then got tired of waiting for Adult Swim and just started binging the rest of the series yourself. This arc introduced us to the concept of Rogue Shinobi as well as Hunter Nin, and Kirigakure's own version of the Anbu. From here, we learned about the process of disposing of a rogue shinobi's corpse and got our first taste of the Sharingan. Besides the cool battles, there was a lot of heart with the inclusion of Inari and his father, Kaiza. By the end of it, it left us unsure about what justice really was, but certain that we got it when we saw Gato get his just desserts. This was our first taste of the concept that would later become commonplace, that villains weren't villains only, but people who had been corrupted by the cycle of hatred. Number 6, the Akatsuki Suppression Mission. This arc was one of the better arcs. It saw Konoha turn its attention toward the Akatsuki in full force ever since the fallout from the Kazekage rescue mission. In part 1, the Akatsuki were left slightly ambiguous and mysterious, with us merely recognizing Itachi and Kisame, with little more being shown. But with the Kazekage rescue mission, and then this one, we were introduced to some of the best thought out characters in the series. In this mission, we see the Akatsuki members Hidan and Kakuzu attempting to claim a bounty, but instead getting ambushed by Konoha forces led by Asuma Sarutobi. The main villains of this arc, Hidan and Kakuzu, were not standard shinobi, and their techniques seemed more occult than anything else, with Hidan even taking a visage not too unlike the Grim Reaper. Sadly, in this arc, Asuma dies, but his death was well written and offered proper character growth to the likes of Shikamaru Nara, who began to realize what the Will of Fire truly was and what it meant to be a shinobi in general. All the same, we were also introduced to Naruto's new signature technique, the Rasen Shuriken. Number 5. Tale of Jiraiya the Gallant. In this arc, we follow pervy sage himself, Jiraiya, as he travels to Amegakure in search of the origins of the Akatsuki under orders from Tsunade. While there, he makes a horrible discovery that his former students, Nagato, Yahiko, and Konin, were all responsible for the creation of the Akatsuki, with the death of Yahiko spurring on Nagato's fall from grace into the realm of villainhood. This culminates in a final battle between mentor and student, which results in the death of Jiraiya. What a bittersweet moment in the series. While we all loved Jiraiya and hated to see him go, this was the perfect send-off filled, and it would do a great disservice to his character to have him fade into obscurity as Naruto his final lesson. And as Naruto lifts up Jiraiya's ideals, he pushes forward with the threat of disappointing his master behind him should he fall. So I think it was a beautiful thing. Number 4. Itachi Pursuit Mission and Fated Battle Between Brothers. This arc was the culmination of Sasuke's entire character arc up to that point. It was Itachi's influence that set Sasuke down this path, and now that Sasuke felt strong enough, he was not afraid to go after his older brother. In the past, Itachi had told Sasuke not to show his face again until he had the same eyes as him, that is to say, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke had yet to awaken these powers yet, but he was still confident that he could beat Itachi and began to search him out. It was only then that we got to witness the battle we'd been waiting years to see. It was close, but to our surprise, Sasuke could not beat Itachi. But that was when it was realized that Itachi was not the monster we'd been led to believe, as he instead offered a moment of love before succumbing to his illness, leaving Sasuke victor by default. Sasuke would laugh, and we'd celebrate with uneasiness in our hearts, knowing that something just wasn't right. Then, when Tobi appears and explains everything to Sasuke, our eyes are opened, and we're forced to once more examine the so-called perfect village of Konoha, and realize that it has committed multiple humanitarian crimes against its people, causing Sasuke's vengeance to once more heat up and evolve. And at this point, we couldn't actually blame Sasuke for succumbing to hatred, as we began to believe he might be right. Besides being a visually exciting arc full of colors and big explosions and awesome looking techniques, this arc is also full of questions and moral dilemmas that left us racking our brains and asking who exactly was the good guy and who was the bad guy. Number 3. Sasuke Recovery Mission. This arc introduced us officially to the Sound Four, and then further had us say goodbye to them as they were immediately killed off, some in very brutal manners. We were also introduced to Kimimaro in the same arc and forced to say goodbye to him. These characters, along with the ones in the Land of Waves arc, proved to us that characters' stories could be completed and proven to be compelling even if told in the span of a single arc. It was in this arc that we got to see the heroic return of Rock Lee as well as the reformed Gaara. We witnessed these two join forces as the dream team we all craved to see after their epic battle during the Chunin exams. But just as seems to be the curse with many of Kishimoto's villains, Kimimaro died from his terminal disease just before claiming victory. While everyone in the Sasuke recovery mission got to see tons of character development, which is always a good thing, we've got to admit that the true gem of this arc was Naruto and Sasuke's final battle at the Valley of the End, which really set the stage for the second half of the series. Visually stunning, full of heart, and compelling to the very end, this arc has earned its place as the third best arc of the series. Number 2. The Chunin exams and Konoha Crush. Let's be real. No shonen anime is truly complete without at least one tournament arc. Just as Dragon Ball had multiple tournament arcs just to show off the strength and technique of characters old and new alike, Naruto is no exception. The Chunin exams arc was a tournament arc designed as an examination that would see characters fighting for their lives just to attain a new promotion in the ranks of their respective military forces. While we enjoyed the witty nature of the written test and the Snake Eater type's survival mixed with capture the flag that was the Forest of Death, nobody can deny that we watched it for the exhibition matches. Extraordinarily brutal to expect children to fight to the death for the entertainment of their village, the manga was far worse and had me feeling bad even for the villains. Blood, sweat, and tears truly did flow from this arc, along with the hearts of the characters that introduced the dilemma of Rock Lee and the dilemma of Neji Hyuga, in that neither are allowed to be what they want because of how they were born. Two completely different people with polar opposite issues, yet with similar problems. They answered it in their own ways based upon either optimism or pessimism. As if that weren't enough, we got to witness a terrible attack on the Leaf, perpetrated by the sinister Orochimaru, who would be introduced to the series in this arc as the primary antagonist until the Akatsuki eventually take over. To cement his place as a villain, he would be shown killing Hiruzen, which would eventually lead Tsunade to replace him. This arc was a masterful story of strife and the issues present within society, as well as self-discovery and self-sacrifice. There's a reason why all the best shonen anime these days attempt to recreate it. I'm looking at you, Jujutsu Kaisen. Speaking of which, I really need to catch up on that. Number 1, Pain's Assault. Pain's Assault wasn't entirely the most visually stunning of the Naruto series, by any means. Never press the pause button in the middle of the Pain arc unless you're ready for some Mickey Mouse-esque imagery. However, this arc provided plenty of mental floss to keep us sharp in that we're forced to look into what justice is, and what peace should be, and who the heroes and villains are, or if there are even any. What it boiled down to was having faith that the cycle of hatred could be broken without somehow contributing to it as Pain hoped to do. In this arc, we nearly witnessed Naruto fall to hatred as he finally lets the Nine Tails loose, only for Minato to slap his ear back and tape that sticker back onto the lock. As this arc comes to an end, we're given the glorious sight of the village finally accepting Naruto and celebrating him as a hero. But later on, it's revealed that Naruto still holds a grudge against the citizens of Konoha for what they'd done to him, which adds plenty of extra dimensions to Naruto as a character, and is one of the reasons why this arc is the best. But what are your thoughts? Do you agree with this video? Or do you have a different list of arcs? Drop it down below and wow me. Change my mind, I dare ya. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video even in the slightest, even if you didn't agree with the placement of arcs, consider giving it a like. We appreciate it, and it helps us bring you more content just like this. If you wish to be notified when said content is released, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. And if you just can't wait for more, you can click on one of these other wonderful videos. Until next time, peace.